Hey, this is Chris Rissy, and welcome to another Thursday Stop. Okay, for this Thursday Stop, I am talking drip campaigns. What is a drip campaign? That's the question I got earlier this week from a client, and so I wanted to elaborate on that. There's a lot of assumption out there that people know what a drip campaign is. It's not complicated by any means, but you can make it complicated. So let's just start with the basics. What does the word drip mean? Well, when we hear the word drip, we think of water dripping from a leaky faucet. So if we can imagine how water just drips out of the faucet sequentially, it just continues to do so on a regular basis, maybe not evenly. Maybe there's sometimes it's dripping faster, sometimes it's dripping slower. But it's continuous, and at least until it's turned off or fixed. And so that's kind of the premise for what drip campaigns are when used in marketing. And so your basic drip campaign, you might see in email. Email's a common place where you would find drip marketing or drip campaigns. And it's where you would get a first email, then a second email, then a third email, and these are all based upon basically a storyline or a scenario where you have the idea of a subscriber and what things that they might be interested in at a specific time. And there's a lot of different examples that can be used here, but the most basic is like a 3-part email campaign where it's just somebody subscribes, they get the initial welcome email, then they might get a follow-up email a day later, and they might get a third email a day after that. And that's a very basic drip campaign. So, when you structure these, it's very much like a storyline. The person's getting started. They need to know what's going to happen next, and then maybe what happens at the end. And so again, that's a very simple 3-part email, and it could go, or email series there in a drip campaign, and it could keep going on 5, 10. And I've talked about the email marketing before in using storylines to create your drip campaigns, and it's very much the same thing. Now with drip campaigns, you can add more marketing automation to it, and it can get more complex, especially when you add in programming or conditional statements. And that's very simple. It's true, false, or yes, no situations where it depending on how a subscriber would choose one of those statements, if they choose yes, if they choose no, or they take an action or they don't take an action, the next step in that series of events changes. So it would, from one event, becomes 2 possible scenarios, and then those could split off, and so on and so forth. So it can get very complicated and multiply exponentially very quickly. But you really don't need to make it that complicated. If they open an email, you might send them another email after that. If they don't send or they don't open that email, you might try sending them an alternative email with a different subject line. And so these are just, a very varied examples of how you can add conditional programming or conditional statements to your email drip campaigns. And then, some other examples I would think of where we've implemented this, where I've implemented it, and where you could use it too in your business. Such things as like onboarding. If you're bringing on new customers and clients, or if you're bringing on new employees, maybe they need to go through a training course. That's a great place to have a drip campaign where they might have different trainings at different times. And every time you add somebody new to it, they're always going to be starting at the beginning of that drip campaign sequence. Some other ideas might be service renewals, where you have somebody who needs to renew their service in 90 days. So you send out reminders at day 90, day 60, day 30, day 0, maybe even after that, if they haven't renewed. Another example, let me think, with lead nurturing. That's a great example because that's where drip campaigns are very popular. When you have somebody sign up or communicate with you through a lead generation page, after that point, you might need to continue to warm them up to a purchase or to some type of conversion. And that way you can either send them emails or maybe it's, even social media. It's possible to have drip campaigns there as well. That's just a variety of examples. But the most important thing with drip campaigns is no matter how simple or how complex you make them, the next step always needs to be relevant to the subject in order to keep progression going. As soon as you do something that's completely out of context, you're often going to lose a subscriber, or you're going to just lose interest completely from the person who's currently in the campaign. So that's just a good suggestion. All right, well, that's kind of a synopsis of what drip campaigns are and how you can use them in your business for a variety of different ways. I'm Chris Rissy, and that's the end of the Thursday Stop today. So remember, be the experience, master your business, and I'll talk to you next time.